And welcome to TV 16's Live at 5. I'm Josh Robinson.
And I'm Kaylee Evans. White County schools are going to have longer school years than usual.
And a North Little Rock veteran police officer is in the hospital.
Your TV 16 news starts right now. The recent batch of snow and ice has caused schedule conflicts with White County schools. The schools in the area, including Harding Academy, canceled classes Monday and yesterday, and most schools are adding makeup days because the schools have exceeded their number of snow days allowed per year. The Searcy School District is also closed today and has already added 5 days to the end of its school year to make up for the lost days. Harding Academy will not lose any days due to the weather because of the cyber days they do on their computers when school is out. And White County is not getting the Arkansas Veterans Nursing Home it had been hoping for since May of last year. Searcy came in second in the voting process of where to put the new veterans home that is worth $25 million. It lost to Fort Roots of North Little Rock, which received 7 of the 12 votes. The vote surprised many because White County has the 10th highest veteran population in the state at around 7,000. Governor Mike Beebe says the selection process was difficult, but the selection of North Little Rock will provide the setting and care Arkansas veterans deserve.
The Little Rock Police Department is searching for a Jacksonville woman who has been reported missing. 31-year-old Nicole Walls was last seen by her stepfather at a Shell gas station at Canis and Barrow Road on February 2nd. Police say Walls has been the victim of domestic violence in the past and has a current protection order against her husband, Christopher Walls. Anyone with information about where Walls might be located is urged to contact the Little Rock Police Department.
A North Little Rock man is dead after being shot by a police officer. The incident occurred around noon near 4th and Maple Streets. A 911 call was issued when a man was causing a disturbance on a city bus. Once the officer arrived, he and the suspect exited the bus, at which time the man began to assault the officer with a cane. The officer fired his gun, successfully hitting the suspect. The man was taken to the University of Arkansas Medical School for treatment. The officer was taken to Baptist Spring Hill for non-life-threatening injuries. And a Little Rock robbery suspect is in critical condition after being shot by police. Police were called to the Mapco Max Mart around 3 this morning, where the suspect had a handgun and had taken money and beer from the store. He then ran into the nearby woods, forcing police to use the K-9 unit to find him. When the man was found, he pointed his gun at officers and an officer fired, hitting the suspect several times. The suspect was then taken to the Baptist Hospital for surgery. A loaded gun and cash were found on the suspect.
Little Rock police are reporting that a possible explosive was found in Burns Park this morning. Sergeant Brian Dedrick says a park ranger called in the alert around 10 this morning. The explosive ordnance disposal was called to the scene and they sent samples for tests to be done. The sample will then be sent to the state crime lab for further testing.
After 3 weeks of debate, the private option bill has passed in the House of Representatives. The bill passed with 76 out of 100 votes. Representatives Hammer, Carnine, and Slinkard all three swapped their votes on the final ballot. House Speaker Davy Carter says the vote was an act of political courage. He later added that this is an example that is set for the rest of the country. And Arkansas lawmakers are shifting their focus back to the state budget after the private option bill was passed in the House. Lawmakers say discussions about the Revenue Stabilization Act that prioritizes state spending should begin very soon since the 100-member House passed the private option bill yesterday. Democratic Senator Larry Teague says he expects budget talks to be brief and to take no more than 2 days, while Republican Senator Michael Lamoureux says he expects a vote on a budget bill sometimes next week.
An Arkansas legislative panel has endorsed a measure exempting tax collecting on the sand used in the drilling of oil and natural gas. The Joint Budget Committee approved the amendment today to the Department of Finance and Administration's Revenue Services Division to budget the bill. The proposal failed Tuesday, but the vote was asked to be erased, citing the absence of several committee members. A Pulaski County Circuit judge ruled that the sand qualifies as equipment, and lawmakers say they are clarifying the law to follow the judge's decision. The bill now heads to the full Senate.
The name of the bond broker who has immunity to testify in former Arkansas Treasurer Martha Schaffner's case has been released. Steele Stevens is the broker who paid Schaffner $36,000 to give him more state business, says attorney Chuck Banks. Schaffner faces 14 federal bribery and extortion counts. And a Faulkner County judge has been placed under investigation. Circuit Judge Mike Maggio is being investigated under accusations including releasing confidential information about a high-profile adoption case. Over the last several years, comments have been posted in a Louisiana State University message board under the pseudonym Go Judge. These messages have been suggested to be from Maggio. One post discusses a notable celebrity's confidential adoption with Go Judge, saying it was done in Arkansas by a friend who was also a judge. Maggio says he is prohibited to comment about any accusations towards him, and the investigation will remain ongoing.
A shooting involving West Memphis officers is going to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is taking up the issue of when law enforcement should be allowed to use deadly force during high-speed pursuits. The justices heard arguments in the case yesterday filed by the family of a driver killed while fleeing police in Arkansas. CNN has details.
We've seen it many times. High-speed police pursuits taking a tragic turn.
Be careful here.
Police dashcam video from 2004 shows how a simple traffic stop for a busted headlight ends in death. Officers in West Memphis, Arkansas weave through traffic as Donald Rickard and his passenger Kelly Allen lead them on a high-speed chase through 2 states. Officers finally corner the Honda, but Rickard backs up, almost hitting one of the officers. Police open fire, shooting into the car 3 times and then another 12 times as it speeds away. 2 minutes later, the Honda crashes into a house. Rickard and Allen both die. Rickard's family sued, claiming the officers used excessive force.
There is a line that you do not cross, and deadly force is that line unless it's justified.
In this case, you don't think it's justified?
Absolutely not.
But the officers argue they have immunity when protecting the public in dangerous situations requiring split-second decisions.
They were reasonably in danger because it was up in the air what would occur next, and certainly the public is in danger anytime somebody careens down the road at 100 miles an hour or more.
The case made its way to the highest court in the land, which is focusing on whether the officers used excessive force and if laws at the time of the crash would have prohibited that.
They are absolutely a use of force that must be measured against the Fourth Amendment's reasonableness standard.
During tense arguments in court yesterday, every justice who spoke appeared to support the Arkansas officers. Precedent set by the High Court in 2007 favors police, generally protecting them from civil liability in fast-moving situations. This case gives the justices a chance to revisit that decision, testing the limits of police discretion in using deadly force.
Little Rock's District Corps of Engineers is giving Greers Ferry some repairs. The Greers Ferry power plant will be offline March 10th through April 24th. Throughout the outage, one turbine will continually release about 300 to 400 cubic feet of water per second into the Little Red River. If rainfall causes the lake to rise above the conservation pool elevation, then flood control releases will be made using the spillway gates. Updated release rates are available by calling 501-362-2416.
And coming up after the break, talks between Russia and Ukraine are being encouraged.
But first, a look at your weather with Jacob Norwood. Jacob?
Thanks, guys. I'm standing outside of our studio right now at Harding University. You can see there's still some snow on the ground, but our roads are being cleared right now. The temperatures are rising here, so we are getting a lot of slush, but thankfully the ice on the roads is melting and driving conditions are a lot safer. Can't say the same for some areas north of us, such as Marion and even West Memphis. Those conditions are still a little dicey, so we encourage people to be careful in those areas. Coming up after the break, we're going to look at rising temperatures in the next couple days, plus a chance for a little more precipitation tonight. We'll have a look at that and all of your weather for the next couple days. Coming up after this.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people. Connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Kids will spend 57 minutes making me go splat.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan, big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Welcome back to TV 16. Let's take a look outside right now. It is cold. We did have some fog here in Searcy this morning. It was called freezing fog, but that went away pretty quickly. The clouds stayed around, but the temperatures will continue to go up in the days ahead. So we did have a warmer day than yesterday, but it still stayed pretty cold. The temperature right now is 36 degrees. It feels closer to 31 with that wind chill from the northeast at about 5 miles per hour. Humidity is about 70% right now, so it's keeping things pretty humid outside, and we'll continue that way for the coming days. Taking a look at tonight's forecast, we do have a slight chance of rain and some possible sleet. It will get down to about 30 degrees, but it will feel closer to 25 with that wind chill. Our average high is much higher than what we're experiencing right now. It is a far cry. Our average high of 60 degrees. We are about half of that right now. The average low is 35, and we're much closer to that. Our record high for today was set in 1956, 78 degrees. Our record low, 13 in 1960. Taking a look at your surface map right now, I did mention that we were going to have some rain tonight, or a possibility of some rain, as well as a chance for some rain near the end of this week, and that will because of this little thing right here. See this low pressure system right here, or we are expecting to push towards us in the next coming days. You see all of this down here is what we just experienced the last couple days, and we got some of that precipitation that you saw from that, but that cleared off, leaving way for this little guy to come in and push a little bit more precipitation towards us. So we are expecting some of that in the next coming days, and we will continue to look at that. Taking a look at our state temperatures, this morning Searcy actually got the state low at about 22 degrees, but we did come up from that. Our state highs, Fayetteville is 47, but things are mostly warmer in the southern part of the state, Fayetteville being an exception. 43 in Texarkana, 43 in Monticello, 32 in Little Rock, 33 in Jonesboro. Taking a look at tomorrow's forecast, we do have a chance of rain that continues, as I mentioned. It's getting up to about 46 degrees rather, and with a low of 28. Taking a look at your 5-day forecast right now, as I mentioned, that chance of rain tomorrow, possible sleet with those low temperatures, but the temperatures will continue to climb throughout the rest of the week until we hit about Saturday with that 40% chance of rain going through the evening on Saturday, and that will cause the temperatures to go down from 61 to about 50, but we are expecting those temperatures to rebound after that weather clears out, and we will have sunny skies for all next week. That's all I have for weather right now. Let's send it back to the desk with Josh and Kaylee. Guys?
Thanks, Jacob. New Orleans police are investigating 2 separate shootings that happened in the same area Mardi Gras night. Officers say 2 men were shot and killed in a parking lot near Mardi Gras World. One was found inside a car and the other was found lying on the ground. That shooting took place about an hour after another man was shot in the shoulder while attending a concert also at Mardi Gras World. He was taken to the hospital. Police have not named any suspects and say the 2 cases are still under separate investigations.
People across the United States may be affected by a fire that happened earlier this week in California. A truck full of mail went up in flames on a Southern California highway after a crash. CNN reports.
If you drove by this big rig fire on the 57 freeway near Lambert Tuesday morning, you may have been comforted to learn nobody was hurt. But it's possible your comfort level could have taken a hit once you found out what was burning up inside the trailer, around 100,000 pieces of U.S. mail.
If you did send a letter outside the local area, there is a chance that it may have been on that truck.
The mail was coming from this Santa Ana processing center, which processes letters from all of Orange County and parts of the San Gabriel Valley. The Postal Service says the truck was taking the letters from the Santa Ana facility to the Ontario airport, and that the letters were destined for states east of Colorado.
And it was just regular letters, first-class mail, so there were no packages with merchandise, no registered mail, high-value mail.
But the burned mail would include things like birthday cards and bill payments. On that note, if your bill payment is late as a result of this, the post office says it can try to help.
Well, the Postal Service will provide documentation that this fire took place on March 3rd. So if you mailed something that you need that documentation for, say a bill was mailed and now you have a late fee, we can provide the documentation that that mail may have been destroyed and ask the business to waive the late fee.
Steps are being made in gathering international diplomacy efforts in response to the Ukraine-Crimea crisis. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met with his Russian counterpart in Paris today to urge direct talks between Russia and Ukraine. CNN has more.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met face-to-face with his Russian counterpart, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, in Paris. The sit-down was one of the latest promising signs of diplomacy efforts as tensions remain high in Ukraine. President Barack Obama discussed a possible off-ramp diplomatic scenario for Russian President Vladimir Putin with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, a road that would address some of Putin's chief concerns for Russia's interests in the region. Meanwhile, pressure may be mounting on the financial front. As the U.S. builds a case for economic sanctions against Russia, European Union leaders plan to meet Thursday in Brussels to discuss a similar response. That meeting will come as U.S. lawmakers gather to push a bipartisan response to the crisis in support of the Obama administration. Also on Capitol Hill, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel addressed the U.S. military's current role in the Ukraine strategy.
Earlier this week, directed the Department of Defense to suspend all military-to-military engagements and exercises with Russia.
Russia responding with threats of its own. Lawmakers in Moscow want to confiscate assets belonging to U.S. and European companies should sanctions against Russian interests be imposed. The tough talk is now part of the ongoing global war of words. Reporting in Washington, I'm Polo Sandoval.
Prosecutors in the trial of Olympian Oscar Pistorius are trying to prove he purposely killed his girlfriend, but the defense is saying witnesses are rehearsing their testimonies. Defense lawyer Barry Rowe says some of the witnesses have tailored their testimony to match one another's. Pistorius' neighbor testified today saying he heard shouts coming from Pistorius' house before the gunshots. The witness told investigators he and his wife did not discuss their versions of the story together, but he changed his story on the stand, saying he and his wife did talk about the timing and number of shots they heard. Rose says for witnesses to be considered reliable, they have to maintain independent versions of events.
Now let's see what Landis Tyndall has for us in sports today.
Has anything exciting happened over these past 2 snow days, Landis?
Thanks, guys. Well, coming up after the break, I'll catch you up on everything that has happened over the past 4 days. And that snow that Jacob talked about has affected a lot. We'll talk about sports coming up after this. Keep it here.
Welcome home, man.
I'm a big believer in the power of we. We can tackle the tough challenges we face and build community through service and volunteering. It's time for you to raise your hand. Go to serve.gov and get involved in something you believe in.
How will you raise your hand when they call your name?
Are you with me?
We weren't born to follow.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And now, another adventure with Savings Man.
Look, honey, the neighbors just bought a big screen TV.
Hey, I just got a bonus at work. Maybe we should get one too.
Hold on there.
Savings Man.
Using your bonus to secure your future by paying down debt or saving is a better way to go.
Well, I declare you're right, Savings Man.
Stay ahead by choosing to save. And don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses.
But their name is Johnson.
For more tips and tools, visit choosetosave.org today.
Spring break is a time at Harding University where many students go around the country to spread the gospel and help others. But one group will go about it a little differently than others. This year, a few players off the men's and women's soccer team at Harding will be traveling to Honduras as a part of the spring break mission trip. Odie Guzman, coach of the men's team, is the one who put the mission trip together with the idea of having players of the teams go. Coach Guzman says that sometimes all you need is a ball to be able to connect with people.
Because I know that there's a simple connection that we share, which is soccer. And so we can not only share with them the gospel through soccer, but we can also just connect and just play out there. We don't necessarily have to speak their language, just as long as we go out there and throw out a ball. They'll obviously love it and they'll be attracted to it, and that's when we can start making that bridge between both parties.
The second year that Harding University's soccer teams have traveled to Honduras for mission work, and Coach Guzman said he hopes it will not be the last. Focusing on another aspect of Harding sports and thinking about the warmer weather, football senior defensive end Daniel Riley is getting ready for the experience of a lifetime.
My name is Daniel Riley. I play defense end for Harding University. Well, training is very rigorous, and at the beginning of it, I couldn't make it through all the workouts. But as you go on through it, I get stronger and faster, and I eventually be able to finish every workout and I'll be able to push myself more. Well, I'm very excited to be able to have this opportunity to be drafted. Whether or not I'm going to get drafted or not, that's the question. I'm just waiting on my pro dates to see how I test and see where I fit in. My career at Harding was an experience I never thought I'd experienced before. But going through college and meeting the people that I meet really helped me grow in my life and become the person I am today.
He finished his senior season with 10 total quarterback sacks, ranking him 5th in Harding football history. Riley's pro day will be held at Arkansas State this Friday. The Harding University baseball team has not been affected too much by the snow we've had. The Bison played at Southeastern Oklahoma State last weekend and swept the series there 3-0. The Bison's game yesterday at Delta State was canceled due to the weather, though. The Bisons will head to East Central University in Ada, Oklahoma this weekend to take on the Tigers in a 3-game series. The Bisons are currently 12-5 on the season and ranked number 1 in the GAC with a record of 5-1. First baseman Matt Calhoun received the GAC Player of the Week award for last week. That is his 3rd time accepting that honor. And the Lady Bison softball team did not have nearly a good of weekend as the baseball team did. They were also at Southeastern Oklahoma State taking on the Bulldogs. The Lady Bisons won only 1 of their 4 games that they played there. That puts the Lady Bisons at 11-8 on the season and 4-4 overall in the conference. The Lady Bisons will also play East Central this weekend in a 3-game series, but those games will be here at the Berry Family Grandstands. However, those games will be played on Saturday and Sunday starting at noon due to the weather. The Bison and Lady Bison basketball teams are headed to Bartlesville, Oklahoma for the next few days for the GAC tournament. The men's team will take on East Central tomorrow at 8 p.m. ECU leads the all-time series 9-7. However, two interesting facts to note about the two teams. The Bisons hold the GAC record for the most three-pointers in a season with 269. Also, Harding and ECU are tied in free throw percentage at 71.6%. That leads the GAC. And the Lady Bison basketball team has a little more time to prepare for their game. They will take on Ouachita Baptist on Friday at 5:45 p.m. in Bartlesville. The exciting news continues to roll in for the Lady Bisons as the USA Today poll was released, ranking the team at number 2. That puts Harding only behind Bentley, who is based in Massachusetts. The Bison and Lady Bison track teams competed in the Lone Star Conference Indoor Championship last weekend in Lubbock, Texas. Ava Zaborska defended her title in the mile race, winning with a time of 5 minutes, 8.8 seconds. That's not her fastest time, however. Ava qualified for nationals this year with a time of 4 minutes, 57.5 seconds. That still isn't her fastest time for the mile. The fastest time and the Harding record currently is 4 minutes, 49.8 seconds. She set that back in 2013. Both the men and women's teams head to Winston-Salem, North Carolina next weekend for the NCAA Indoor Championships. Then on their way back to Searcy from that, they will head to the Rhodes Open. That's in Memphis, Tennessee. And golf is also in full swing. Just a joke. The men's team played the Texoma Crawford tournament over the weekend, hosted by Texas A&M Commerce. The team placed 10th of 16 teams. Alex Williamson shot a 71 and was the co-champion of that tournament. The women's golf team has not played since October, but they will play next Tuesday and Wednesday in the Southwest Minnesota State Spring Invitational at the LPGA International Course. You may be wondering why the golf team is headed to Minnesota. They're not. That tournament's in Daytona Beach, Florida. Not a bad way to spend spring break. That's all I've got here for In Sports. Quite a bit has happened over the past 4 days, but now let's send it back to the desk with Josh and Kaylee. Guys?
Thanks, Landis. And coming up after the break, a World War II veteran receives a running ovation.
Stay with us.
We're a bunch of students from all different disciplines, from math, from science, from English. We take students who are excited about what they do, and we give them a place to do that.
It doesn't just teach you to think, it teaches you to work. We design the robot, we make sure everything works on a virtual program.
The Arkansas Regional First Robotics Competition, March 6th through the 8th at the Gaines Athletic Center at Harding University. Admission is free.
Hungry? Yeah. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
So what you want to do is, have you already enrolled? You're doing fine. What does that just do? Select the drop-down menu again. To the site you're already enrolled. Example here, so don't panic. You're ready to make your payments. There it is. Oh my God! I really can't believe it. That's awesome. Good for you.
We were drawn here from all 50 states and more than 50 different nations. We are 7,000 students of languages, arts, sciences, and life. As diverse as our origins and as different as our backgrounds are, it's remarkable how much we have in common here in this place of faith, learning, and living. Harding University.
A World War II veteran got quite the thank you on Sunday in California.
Joe Bell stood in his front yard dressed in his uniform cheering on runners in San Jose. The 95-year-old vet clapped for the runners, and they began to clap back. Eventually, the racers ran onto the sidewalk to shake his hand and thank him for his service.
Bell is well known in the community, and video of the moment has gone viral. The race benefits the Foundation for Fallen Army Ranger Pat Tillman, who is a San Jose native.
Thanks for watching Live at 5 for all your news, weather, and sports.
And remember, watch us anytime, anywhere on the link at streaming.harding.edu. Have a great night.